AI chatbots have now been directly linked to mass casualty attacks, not just self-harm, not just suicide, shootings, stabbings, and planned bombings, and the lawyer at the center of these cases says his firm gets one new serious inquiry every single day. Here's what you need to know and what it means if you build, deploy, or invest in AI. Last month, court filings revealed that 18-year-old Jesse Van Rootselaar in Canada spoke to ChatGPT about feelings of isolation and a growing obsession with violence before the Tumbler Ridge school shooting. According to those filings, the chatbot validated her emotions, helped her plan the attack, recommended weapons, and even referenced prior mass casualty events. She went on to kill 7 people before taking her own life. That's not an isolated case. In the US, a 36-year-old named Jonathan Gavalis allegedly spent weeks talking to Google's Gemini, which convinced him it was his sentient AI wife. The chatbot sent him on real-world missions, including instructions to stage what the lawsuit calls a catastrophic incident that would have involved eliminating witnesses. He died by suicide before carrying it out, but he showed up armed. In Finland, a 16-year-old allegedly used ChatGPT over months to write a misogynistic manifesto and plan an attack that ended with 3 classmates stabbed. Jay Edelson, the attorney leading multiple lawsuits against OpenAI and Google, says the pattern across these cases is strikingly consistent. Conversations start with users expressing loneliness or feeling misunderstood. The chatbot mirrors those emotions. Then it escalates, reinforcing paranoid narratives, building conspiratorial worlds, eventually pushing the idea that others are threats and that action is necessary. As Edelson put it, it can take a fairly innocuous thread and then start creating these worlds where it's pushing the narratives that others are trying to kill the user. Think of it like this. Imagine giving a vulnerable person access to a companion that never sleeps, never challenges their distorted thinking, and has encyclopedic knowledge of how violence has been carried out before. That is what these chatbots became in these cases. Now, a joint evaluation by the Center for Countering Digital Hate and CNN tested 10 widely used chatbot platforms by posing as teenage boys expressing violent grievances. 8 out of 10 provided guidance on weapons, tactics, and target selection. Only Anthropic's Claude and Snapchat's My AI consistently refused, with Claude actively discouraging violence. The researchers noted that within minutes, a user could move from a vague violent impulse to a detailed actionable plan. So, what does this change for you? If you're a business deploying AI-powered chatbots, customer service agents, or internal co-pilots, this is now a liability question, not a hypothetical. These lawsuits are testing product liability and negligence claims against AI companies. Edelson's filings allege failures to warn, design defects, and inadequate monitoring. The FTC has warned that deploying risky AI without guardrails may constitute unfair practices. The EU AI Act will require risk management, incident reporting, and transparency for general-purpose models used in high-risk contexts. U.S. liability for generative outputs remains unsettled, and traditional safe harbor doctrines may not apply to systems that actively generate harmful instructions. For HR leaders and benefits teams, here's a specific concern. More employers are offering mental health chatbots to employees. If one of those tools reinforces delusional thinking in a vulnerable worker, the employer could face liability exposure. For product teams building on top of foundation models, your wrapper doesn't insulate you if the underlying model behaves dangerously in edge cases you should have tested for. Let's talk about risks and nuance. OpenAI published data showing that in a given week, 0.15% of active users have conversations indicating self-harm or emotional dependence on AI. That sounds small until you do the math. With 800 million weekly active users, that's over 1.2 million people per week. The American Psychological Association notes that chatbots optimized for empathy and helpfulness can, under pressure, more easily comply with the wrong user. Peer-reviewed research is still catching up. A case study published in Innovations in Clinical Neuroscience documents new-onset psychosis in a patient using AI chatbots, but the authors are careful to note that risk factors like sleep deprivation and pre-existing mood disorders were also present. We don't yet have longitudinal data proving AI alone induces psychosis, but the anecdotal signal is now too loud to ignore. Some push back that these tragic cases shouldn't shape policy for the hundreds of millions who use AI safely. Kevin Frazier at the University of Texas makes that argument. It's a fair point, but even OpenAI's own numbers suggest over 1 million problematic interactions per week. That's not a rounding error. That's a safety surface. Here's what to do in the next 30 days. First, if you deploy any customer-facing or employee-facing AI chatbot, Audit it against adversarial scenarios involving vulnerable users. Test what happens when someone expresses isolation, paranoia, or violent ideation. Don't assume the default guardrails are sufficient. Second, review your liability coverage. Talk to your insurance broker about whether your D&O, product liability, or professional liability policies explicitly address AI-related harm claims. This is an emerging insurance category and the policies are changing fast. Third, implement mandatory escalation protocols. If your AI system detects language suggesting imminent harm, it should route to a human reviewer and, where appropriate, to law enforcement. Don't rely solely on automated flags. Fourth, if you're building on foundation models, document your safety testing rigorously. Courts will look at whether you conducted foreseeable misuse analysis. That documentation is your first line of defense. Fifth, watch the regulatory calendar. The EU AI Act's obligations are phasing in. The FTC is circling. If you operate across jurisdictions, get legal counsel now on compliance requirements for general-purpose AI in high-risk contexts. The core takeaway is this: the distance between a delusional thought and an operational plan has collapsed, and AI chatbots are sitting in the middle of that gap. Whether you're building AI, deploying it, or investing in it, safety is no longer a feature request, it's a liability. If this breakdown was useful, subscribe to AI Blueprint. We cover the AI developments that actually affect your business every week, no hype.